this is Bill Capan, Saskatoon Public Schools. I just wanted to do a quick video introduction about how to download your Arduino software as well as Blockley Arduino, the software for programming the Arduino. Now, first off, on any of these school division computers or system computers within different systems, you'll have to make sure you have the drivers for Arduino. Now, in our particular system, we actually have an area you can go to, which basically gives you what we call basically a software center. So you'll have to go to your software center in order to actually load these products. Once you go to software center, you're going to get something like this. This is the one for Saskatoon Public Schools. You can install the software to recognize the Arduino by simply going to our software here, finding Arduino, and we've got 1.6.12. And this Arduino has been loaded with drivers to run, and as it says here on my board, the Arduino Uno. So the Arduino Uno is the system prepared board for Saskatoon Public Schools. If you want to put in additional drivers, you're going to have some trouble, and there's several different types of boards. So you really want to make certain that if you're using a knockoff, a brand X board from China, it might not work with the Uno drivers, but you want to make sure you check that the Arduino Uno drivers work with our software. Once you've downloaded the software, you can simply open it up by double clicking on it, and you're going to quickly get a window that looks like this one here. So this allows you to check now to see if you actually have that software installed. So what I can do now is just take my USB and plug in my Uno board. There we go. Once the Uno board is plugged in, you're going to notice that you get a blinking light. So that blinking light tells you that you've got power going to your board. So that's basically what the board will look like once it knows. And you heard that tinkle? That meant that my drivers were actually installed correctly and it recognized the board. If you want to play with this, you can actually download what they call a sketch. A sketch is a simple program, and we'll show that in the second video and how you can actually test your board. Now, in order to make sure you've got the Uno drivers, there's a couple of tools that you want to go through. The first tool you want to take a look at is basically finding the correct board. So you click on the Tools tab, you can move down to where it says Board, and you see I've already selected, and it's automatically selected the Arduino Uno. So this is the board that's been installed across Saskatoon Public Schools. If you want additional drivers, you can do that at home very easily. They'll install all these drivers. But for the particular boards in the school division, we use the Arduino Uno. Now, a second tool that you want to take a look at is the port. So under Tool as well, sometimes we find that the ports don't automatically hook up. You should see COM4 Arduino Uno on COM4 automatically come up if your drivers are installed properly. If they're not installed properly, you're going to usually see serial ports COM1 and COM3. However, you won't see the COM4. So this confirms for me that I actually have this set up properly. So that's basically figuring out how to get the software drivers. Now, we're actually not going to use Arduino to program. Using the Arduino programming environment that was developed by MIT, this is a very complex environment. So instead, we're going to take a look at something called Blockley. So Blockley is a nice, simple program that kids down to about grade 6 can use. So Blockley can be found by simply going to the web and typing in Blockley and then Arduino. So it's a merging of two words, Blockley, Blockly, and then Arduino. So if you put in Blockley and Arduino, this will come up as well. You'll get something called Blockley Arduino. You do a quick search, and the first thing you're going to see at the very top is this GitHub Arduino. So this is the environment. Now there's two different environments you can program on. One is an online environment. So this environment requires no additional software. It's ready to go. So basically Blockley is a way that we can basically take chunks of code that typically we would have typed in, and we can basically turn them into puzzle pieces. So for example, you can drag out these puzzle pieces, which is pretty cool. So for example, if you wanted to play with a simple program to change the rate at which that light flashes. So you can see right now the yellow light on my board is flashing about for a couple of seconds and then pauses and a quick flash. I can actually take that LED and make it move in from high to low state. So this is actually a chunk of code, and it actually looks like a puzzle piece. So what I can do is I can put some delays in there. So I've got a delay in here, a control, sorry. We'll turn around and put a delay. Everything here is controlled in thousandths or milliseconds, sorry. So 1,000 would be 1 second. So that's going to be on for 1 second. And then I'm going to basically put another one in there. And I can simply turn it off. So we'll go to low. And then we'll make sure we go again to another second. So I'll put the delay for another second. And it'll just keep looping this. So right now it should go on, off every second. As you can see right now, it gives me a long flash, a wait, and then a short flash. So I programmed that earlier. So I'm just going to put this back in. This is actually the program. Now you'll notice that I don't actually upload it from here. It allows me to go right into the code. And here's the actual, Arduino code. So I can actually just copy that. And I can paste it in my actual Arduino code. So I can just take that and paste it right in here. And I can actually upload it. So I'll get rid of this start, and I can actually go to my sketch, and I can simply upload. As soon as I click upload, you'll notice that you're going to start to see something happen on my board. And so you saw the double flashing LEDs there. It means that it's being programmed. Once the board was programmed, you can see the light has now changed the rate at which it flashes. It flashes on for 1 second, off for 1 second continually. So you can play around with the numbers in there, and you can change basically your programming environment to change these numbers. And then basically you're taking that code that you're creating under Arduino and just pasting it into your compiler or your downloader. So you need sort of two things open at once. You need the blocks here open with the code, and at the same time, you need the little Arduino package so you can basically paste that code in there and upload it. Now, it's not necessary to do this, but I found on division computers, like on our network computers, this is basically the best way to do it. You can do it online because we all have access to online. And at the same time, you can just cut and paste back and forth. Now, this can be used for extremely complex programming. For example, I've programmed stoplights as well as I've programmed distance sensors and line sensors like this. It works very effectively. You can even create your own Blockley code. So if you want, you can create your own puzzle blocks that'll fit in here. So that's sort of the first step. The second thing you can do is you can do this independently so it's offline. So if you go to the Chrome Web Store, you can, of course, type in Blockley Arduino. You'll see that once you click Blockley on your apps, you'll notice there's a Blockley Arduino editor. This Blockley Arduino editor allows you to actually work on Blockley offline. So if you've got a smaller computer, it's a relatively simple thing. It runs through Chrome, but allows you to run those things offline. So if we simply bring up our installed apps, which is an extension to Chrome, we can basically click on the Blockley Arduino editor, and up pops a nice simple editor that we can actually code in. You'll notice it has the exact same basic functions. We can actually bring in different types of code, basically using puzzle pieces, doing the exact same thing. So we can also save it to our Google Drive, or we can save it locally. So this allows us to save things locally now rather than saving online. Great way to do both online and offline coding with the Arduino. I think I basically covered it all. So thank you very much for watching this first little video. I'll be putting in a second video on basically how to make some simple programs with Blockley.